The game today I'm going to show you, just watch at your own risk. This is just Martin versus the most lovable chess.com bot versus the Bob, the horrible chess kit bot. And let's see the fight between them. I give the Bob white pieces because he is lower rated than Martin. Bob started the game with E3 1 Kruji's opening. Martin sees that E3 is good, but I'm going to play B6. Maybe the idea is to fiend cat with the bishop and attack the king side of Bob. Knight to F3, developing the piece. It is good. So far, so good. Developing a piece. Complete normal. C5, throwing the pawn and taking the control in the center. Now, what you should do is play D4. Oh, sorry, not D4, D5, E5 to control the center. That's what you have to do. But this is also completely normal. We are looking at a game between a 250. So, what we can expect? Knight to E5. Don't move a piece twice in the opening. You just develop the knight, bro, and you just throw the knight into the center. Knight doesn't even have anything supporting that. But by the way, it is a complete tricky move. You can't kick this knight like this because the queen gets the entry, and if you try to kick the queen, knight take pawn because pawn can't take. You take the rook. This is a trap, famous trap. But Martin doesn't fall for this. Martin is smart and he played the move d5, taking the center and not even kicking this knight with a d6. And now he takes the center and bishop to b5 check. Bob see that bishop can check the king. This is so good. This is so good. And bishop to d7, blocking the check, of course. And now if you take like this, you have to trade everything. But for literally a new idea, Bob takes the bishop with the knight, and I am surprised that he sees that the knight can take the bishop. Of course, knight take, and now this knight is pinned. This knight is pinned, and now what you have to do, develop this knight, or maybe just throw the pawn into the center, so trade, and or maybe just develop this bishop and castle the king. You have multiple moves. Bob see all of that and play h3, asking Martin, what are you going to do? I just play the h3. Martin is just surprised what I'm supposed to do here, and play the move f6, hanging the check. Yeah, you can check, but this is just block. Now you can come back with the bishop. Because if check, you block, you sack the bishop, and after pawn take, you take this, or maybe it's checkmate because the knight can't move, right? The king escapes are covered by its own pieces. So you can come back with the bishop to d3, threatening this. But I don't know why Bob just trade the bishop for the knight and play queen to h5 check. And this is not going to be working. Queen is powerful but cannot do everything on its own. Uh, just king doesn't even have to move. The pawn attacks the queen, and in this position, Bob sees something I didn't see, and that's why he play knight to a3, sacrificing the queen. Complete sacrificing the queen. This is just hanging queen. If you can explain this, please just write down in the comments why this move makes sense. It doesn't even make sense at all. Because Martin just did. And not only Martin takes and says, a generous offer, since the queen is the most powerful piece, I will capture it. Rook to f1. Rook f1 is a half castling move. Like in the castle, you play this move. And I think Bob just touched the rook first. There is a rule you have to touch the king first if you want to castle. I think Bob touched the rook first. That's why he half castle and play rook to f1. I don't know why. And a5 just taking the control on the queen side. D4 throwing the pawn. Now there we can see a pawn trade doesn't happen. Queen to a7 supporting this trade. Pawn takes pawn, doesn't even take back. E6, and now we are going to take this pawn with the bishop. Yep, we are going to take this pawn with the bishop. King to d2. If you are understanding this move, either you are a Magnus Carlsen, but why Magnus Carlsen going to watch my video? But it is what it is. This king to d2 is so depressing move. So depressing. Not only this, just a horrible. You block your own bishop that can develop here, like here, and you doesn't even take this another pawn. Queen to e7. Again, moving the queen, doesn't give a fuck about this pawn hanging. They just have a staring contest. C take b6 and and queen to d7. What is this move? Rook b1. Yeah, we are going to submit stuff. Going to g. Now we are talking. This pawn is hanging. How are you going to protect it? And Pop see that is a. I think we need to compliment this man. He see that the pawn is hanging and bishop to c5, attacking this pawn. How are you going to protect this pawn? And not at all. Just move the rook. Rook to e1. This check is not working. Pawn push, right? And queen to h6. Now we are, maybe he's just going to sacrifice the bishop here to just open up the king. No, rook to e2. Bob, I don't know what he wants to do. He just play rook to e1, rook e2. Maybe he wants to develop the rooks, but the bishop in there because you just moved the king to d2. That's why king d2 is a horrible move. Bishop b4 checks, and now pawn to c3. He sees that. I love this line. Now you can take this knight, but you never want to. And Martin is just in danger. Bob play the move b4, attacking the bishop, the pawn. Bishop take the pawn, and Bob doesn't take the pawn. And now knight is getting the entry into the position, and knight is developed, guys. Congratulations, everyone. Knight is just developed. He played the move knight to a3, literally on ninth move, and now we are on the 21st move. There are more than 10 moves. Knight is just trapped on a3. Knight gets the entry into the game. Rook to b8. I think he just want to. Now you can take this pawn. By the way, it's going to be a pin because the bishop move. This rook fall. So you have to here. There are two moves you can do. Doesn't happen in the game. Knight to a1. We're just celebrating now. We're just celebrating on the move 21 that the knight is getting development. The knight is getting freedom. And now he can run in the lands. He play knight to a1. Throwing the knight again into the central jail. What is this? What is this, man? What are you doing? It's feeling like a throwing knight into the prison. Why, man? Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Are you out of mind, Bob? What are you doing this? King to e7, h4. This is a good move. Yeah, you just want to play a move. This is a move. And now rook a8 and rook e1 going back. I don't know why. And he just moves and queen g4 check. Rook just get pinned itself and okay. Queen attack the king. Rook block and pin itself, and Martin say, take thy queen, and it's forced. If Bob have another move, maybe this queen can save. Like if the bishop is nothing, you can go here. But this is forced. You have to take the queen, and that is checkmate, right? You have to take the queen and king to d7. After losing the queen, king just walk like a swagster, and pawn take pawn, bishop take pawn, and now pawn to a4, hanging the pawn. This is complete hanging. Not taking is also a big, I don't know why, what I have to say. Now this pawn is still hanging, but is he going to save? Not at all. King to d1, rook to e8, and rook b8. Oh my god, what is Bob smoking? I don't know. Bob throw the rook to b8, doesn't see that rook can take the rook. And Martin sees that, by the way. Martin sees rook can take the rook. And now king it back to e2. King to e2 is a horrible move. And rook to b7. By the way, you can go here just to fall these two pieces. Martin also blundering something. And now king e1. Bishop takes c3 check. Forking the king. the bishop. Now you can develop the bishop, but that's horrible. And he play king to f1. I don't know where this king is going. I think he just want to escape the reality, or I don't know. But king to e7, knight get developed, but this is completely horrible. Hanging, rook can take the knight. Martin doesn't see that knight can be captured, and knight go back to a1. This is just hanging. I don't know what he's going to do. King to e8. Why, bro? You have bishop, you have the rook, you have the knight, another rook. These two pieces doesn't even move. Doesn't even move. Like these two pieces are just resting on their places, and these two pieces that are active are Martin. I don't know why he doesn't moving the pieces, and instead he's just moving the king and pawn to g4, sacrificing the pawn. Pawn takes pawn, king to e2. Why? I don't know. Rook to d7, and now knight c2. Knight is saved literally. Over the 10 move, knight is hanging. Over the 10 move, knight is completely hanging, and now knight is getting saved. King to d8. He just moved the king. He just moved. I don't know. He hates these pieces or what? Bro, you have two rooks, a knight, and a bishop. Move them. Moving the king is not going to solve anything. And now king to f1. I think Bob is just copying Martin, and king e8, f3, another free pawn. Martin, are you going to take? Martin say no thanks. That's enough for me. And now Bob takes the pawn with the pawn and rook to d7. Why we are just throwing the rook back and forth? I don't know. Bishop to d2, offering a bishop, complete a free bishop. You can take. Martin is, I don't know what he's thinking, but he played the move. Another move. You can take this bishop, like take this, man, take this. The bishop had the staring contest, or what? They're just looking at each other. Are they in love or what? I don't know. Knight to b4, and now this bishop is still hanging. Rook to g7, attacking this pawn. Maybe there is some tactics we don't understand, but Martin did. And now the pawn is hanging. You can't save this pawn with anything. g5. g5 is a move. g5 is a move. The pawn can take the pawn. Bishop take a d2. Now he thinks and say, oh, bishop is hanging. Oh, Martin is just in a shock. The bishop is hanging. And now g take f6, knight take f6. Knight gets developed finally. Literally on the move 46. Move 46 of the game. Knight gets the development finally. And now Bob is just pushing the pawn. I think he's going to make the queen. But bishop take knight. And now what? e4, another free pawn. Bishop to e1. I don't know why. You have a free pawn, you can take this. And now Martin attack two pawn. Not only attack the two pawn, hanging the bishop. Is Bob going to see that the bishop is hanging? No. a6. Knight takes e4. And now king takes e1. Finally Bob see that the bishop is hanging. The bishop is hanging. Rook g1 check. King to e2. h5, locking the position. And where is the pawn going? Pawn to a7. Rook e1 check is a horrible move. Horrible move. It is just completely a free rook, not only a free rook. What is this? King to g8? Bro, where this king is going? I don't know. Wants to escape the matrix or what? And now Bob have the queen. Bob queens. Bob queen. Finally, Bob queens. Bob queens. And what is this? You don't have to trade the pieces, bro. You don't have to trade the piece. And Martin takes the queen. Martin takes the queen. Yeah, Martin takes the queen. And now it is completely winning for black because these pawn are stuck. And now the two pawn versus and a knight against the king. Of course, the black is going to win. Yeah, Martin is going to win. Martin is a boss, right? And king to e2, where knight g3 check, king move, yeah, king d4, e5 check. Now you can take the pawn. Yeah, he takes the pawn. He takes the pawn that is on e5. Now you're just thinking about why he doesn't take this pawn, because then this pawn is going to be strong, protected by the knight. That's why Bob takes the pawn on e5, because this pawn is not going to be protected by any pieces. And now king to f8, losing another pawn, and now knight to f1. I don't know where this knight is going, but king to e6. Now king is going to fight by its own, I think, or what, I don't know. Knight to d2, king f6, looking into each other eyes. Knight to b3. Where the fuck is knight going? Bro, where the fuck is knight going? Knight to f1. I just think, oh, look, okay, it's completely normal. Knight to d2 and knight to b3. Where this knight is going, bro? Where this knight is going? I don't know. King to f5. Knight d4 check. King moves, attacking the knight. Knight go back to e2. I don't know. King going towards the knight. Why you have to go towards the knight? Knight attacks and king to f5. Knight b1. Bob plays the knight on the home square. If you just track this knight, he just move the whole board and just come back to its own place. By the way, this is white square. If you think like this is white square, but if we look and from the black's perspective, this is the home square for where this horse. And now king to e4, bro. Go here, win the pawn. What are you doing, Martin? Is just checking the king. Martin is just checking the king. King move, king f5, king g7, and now Martin is thinking, oh, we need to save the pawn. But it's too late. It's too late because you lose the pawn. Not only you lose the pawn, you lose the race. King f5, knight d3, king to f6. Where the king is going, you have to support this pawn. And now knight to c1. I don't know why this knight is jumping like anywhere. Why this knight is just jumping here and going back and forth, back and forth? Why? Is this programmed or what? But not programmed. Knight bishop go to g5, knight b3, and h5. Now we are pushing the pawn. We are pushing the pawn. Knight attack d4 and h6, and here comes knight to f5. You can't protect the pawn at any cost. Knight take. Yep. Bob takes the knight. Martin takes the pawn, and it is a draw because of insufficient material. Two giants, Martin, the king of chess.com, Bob, the king of course, Chess Kid, makes a draw in 77 moves. This is the game we are never going to forget. The two legends fight against each other. If you like the video, just click on the like button. I'm going to meet you in the next video. Until then, goodbye.